Hello, I wanted to give you um, an example here of analyzing a primary source using the Analyzing Primary Sources sheet, something you'll be doing for the essay 1. So here is just a explanation using a couple brief documents. You can find these in Accounts of Roman State Religion. They're the first two, the planting ritual and the harvest ritual. They're from Cato the Elder's larger work on agriculture. Okay, and Cato the Elder was from a great Roman family. He was from a wealthy farming family. Many of the great men of Rome were people who owned great estates. And so here we have his descriptions of the harvest and planting ritual. And so the purpose seems to be to describe the harvest ritual, the planting ritual. These are religious rituals that have to do with farming. The audience would be those who could read or might be able to hear, and who wanted to find out what a farmer would do in the various parts of the life of the farmer. These two specifically, the planting and harvest rituals. Okay, so these are manuals in a sense, or descriptions. So they're not going to be very exciting necessarily. They're not going to have a lot of great and exciting language or dramatic events. It's going to be pretty point by point, and indeed that's what we find here. The historical context, well, I've already mentioned that he is from Rome. Rome, as you can see from Development 2.1, it's a farming society, it's agricultural. Again, the life that a Roman thought was best seemed to be one of owning one's own land, working one's own land, growing food to feed oneself and one's household. So the cultural values would be there for agriculture. Also, they're polytheists. They believe in many gods that are very intimately connected with life. Gods like Jupiter and Ceres and others that we see there. So it's not surprising that he's talking about thanking Jupiter, thanking Ceres, offering them to offering sacrifices to them, and hoping for benefits from them. Okay. So those would be some of the examples of the historical context. Now, what about the information questions? First of all, the content. What information is the author trying to provide? Well, it's obviously here talking about the rituals. It says when you make the offering, then you're going to say a certain prayer here to Jupiter. Okay, you're going to say a certain prayer here to Janus in the harvest ritual. So this gives you formats here in both what's supposed to be done. Okay, we also see that the author reveals the kinds of materials that are going to be used that are in these sacrifices. Okay, so those are all examples here of the kind of information that he uses to make his point. He's not really making an argument so much as just saying, here's what you do. Okay, as far as what the author might reveal unintentionally, first of all, just illustrating the importance of religion. That's not his main purpose, to say, here is the importance of religion in ancient Rome, but by just the very natural and inclusion of the gods, inclusion of these kinds of things. That's a part of what's revealed here. Also, what kind of plants are used. You can see after the offering is made in the planting ritual, plant millet, panic, grass, garlic, and lentils. Okay, he didn't set out to say, here are the plants we use, but he's obviously not going to be talking about plants that they don't use. Okay. Reliability is the next question. Well, first of all, yes, the information seems to be reliable. Cato the Elder was a real Roman, and he seems to have really written this book. He seems to fit with the kind of things we know about Rome, about polytheism, about the agricultural civilization that they lived in. Okay, and so that seems to be basically reliable. On the other hand, we also would want to say, is everybody's experience exactly the same as Cato's? Well, no, not everybody is a great farmer. In fact, just a few people are very wealthy farmers, heads of these great estates. And so this wouldn't necessarily be the same kind of thing that the average poor middle class Roman would necessarily be able to do or describe as farm. But it does give us something we can learn about the past. We can learn a little bit about the connection of Roman religious beliefs to their agricultural practices. But it would be helpful to get other descriptions of agriculture, maybe one that's more day-to-day as opposed to rituals. Okay, and I believe that Cato has some of those in other sections of this document. It would also be interesting to see some descriptions of the life of an average farmer. Now, unfortunately, it's not that easy to get the life of an average farmer because, well, a lot of them couldn't write or read. So we might be able to see, though, some descriptions of the life of an average farmer from somebody like Cato or another literate and fairly wealthy Roman. But that also points to a problem that, yes, the literate and the well-off are more likely to leave sources, and so we have to try our best to look for ways to learn about the average person in history. All right, so those are some ideas of how you might apply those questions to a fairly short document. Please feel free to ask me questions if I can help in other ways with this kind of source analysis.